You want another Topo Chico?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
Well, then I'm going to drink this one.
No, go for it.
All right. You don't need any questions? You're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm
Fire
good.
away.
Okay. Now, you probably have never done like an explainer video of all the detail that you put into this, do you? Like, no one knows.
No.
No one knows, right?
No. I can tell you why I haven't done an explainer video, too, if you want to know.
Okay. Well, first I'm going to say this. The moment I've walked in here and the way you've done this, right? In my head, I'm like, I know you want to train people, and I get that. But, like, the world is moving in to the media, and you're very good and organized, and, like, this is set up really nice, right? Like, in a way where in my head, I'm like, I'm sitting, like, literally while I'm sitting here and, like, you're doing all your stuff and whatever else, I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, part of the back of my head's like, man, I need to get the business in a spot where I can hire you to do media stuff for me, like set up cameras and like whatever else. Cause like, you know, if we have talking head video, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Like that's where like I was all like, what the hell? And in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm saying that in my own head, like what other business people that would like, even a creative, like, hey, I need you to come here. I need you to create like a podcast for me. I need you to create like, you know, something that can engage people. And like, how do I do all this stuff? Right? Like that's like in my head, I'm just like, fuck man, you're doing this as a hobby. And like you just said here, like on the editing, so you're like, I edit. And you're like, I was crap before. Now I forgot what you say. You say like Tom Brady of editing or whatever, right?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, I'm just trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it only felt natural to build processes, just like you do with everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, playing the guitar or whatever else you do. So I built a process. So now I have my process. And my process is so fine-tuned that it takes, we'll say each podcast to record, produce, to do the whole thing, we'll say maybe takes 4 to 5 hours to get everything done for the whole podcast. All the labeling, all the advertising, all the thumbnails, all the things, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel so much like work anymore. But that took 100 episodes.
I'm sure.
So, you know, no one's asking me about like when I was on like episode 41 and I was like, fuck this shit. Like, fuck doing this for free. Like, you know, like I'm taking time away from my family. Well, me and my girlfriend got in a fight right before this podcast. Great. You know what I mean? Like all this other stuff, right? And so you have to work through that to find what the process is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it has to be right or anyone else's. I don't know if it has to be good. It has to be okay for you. You know what I mean? I guess I could give all this stuff to AI. I could do everything faster, but what would I learn out of that? What kind of product would I be putting out? Where is the input of who I am, the imprint of who I am on what I am serving to people? If I let somebody else do it and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
No.
Or final say.
Yeah.
Like I think about like Pee Wee Herman. Like he, I don't know if this is true or not. That this is what he said. He was like he had final say on like everything, down to like the detail, because he understood that he signed his name on that check every day. And so if you don't approve everything, then that's on you. And that's important. That's important to me.
Okay. So I'm just telling you is that at the end of the day, like being a creative director, owning your own media business, and like you don't think you.
But I don't want to do that.
Okay, I know you don't want to, but I'm saying is that like holy shit, man, like this is kind of where a lot of the like every business is trying to find a way to engage and connect with other people. Every business, from a marketing perspective, and think about everything that you've had to struggle to do. You could probably streamline it, and you can probably teach somebody else who's passionate about it too, or you could just be overseeing somebody else doing some of this stuff. All I'm saying is that like you've probably had to do this on a tight budget.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But the product doesn't look like that. Your thumbnails don't look like that. Even your graphic design on your like thumbnails on Instagram,
Yeah.
that look kind of 3D-ish because it looks like it's that printed stuff or whatever. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, there's, you know, This is happening in your garage, but it doesn't fucking look like it's in your garage on camera, right?
Yeah.
So just think about like what people would probably pay to like get even 60% of this, right? Like that's what I'm saying is like, holy shit. Like when I walked in, I was impressed.
Well, thank you.
So that's all. And in my head, I was all like, dude, like, have you even thought about that?
Do you know how glad I am that you're here for like episode like 120 something and not for like, because okay, one, I probably would have wanted to ask you to do the podcast sooner than I did. But also, two, you were like, hey, man, I'm busy with some shit, like real life shit. So like, it's going to have to wait. But in that process, a lot changed for me in this process. And so, like, with everything being timing and allowing it to be and grow as it grows organically and not trying to force or anything, I get to come to this beautiful spot where I get to interview this person that I really respect, and he gets to be impressed by what I do, which, like, for me, like, is a really just fantastic and great compliment. Someone I respect so much, I couldn't ask for a better compliment than like, hey, you look like you got your shit together.
I mean, it looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what was the question?
No, that was, I just didn't know if the question was, hey, have you ever thought about it? Cause like,
this is we want to talk about manifestation stuff, putting it out and stuff. Yeah. Okay. This is what I think about. I think about that. Like, I love my show. I love what I'm doing here. I'm obviously doing it for free, so I must like it. But if someone wanted to hire me to be a personality and put on my show or something like my show on some other thing, like, I would totally be down for that.
Okay.
Like, you know how, like, I guess, like, podcasts get bought up by people and put on their networks and stuff like that? That would be cool.
Okay.
Like,
so you love the personality side, like being the personality side.
I think that
like an artist.
Fortunately or unfortunately, this is what people gravitate to. And I'm not saying that in a conceited way, in a way of like,
sure.
I mean, I guess when I look back on myself, I get it.
No, I mean,
sometimes but I don't look at myself that way. Yeah. When I look at people that are interesting, when I look in the mirror, I don't look at me and go, man, that guy's interesting. When I look at other people on stuff, I find them interesting. So it's hard to believe that someone would find what I'm doing interesting. That's the hard part.
Then you haven't done enough self-awareness stuff then.
But what do you mean?
Because probably from the moment I met you, I was like, that guy is kind of interesting. Whether good or bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have to remember that, like, probably, I don't know, did I first meet you probably on the dance? Oh, well, I guess no, it was at Ben's, right? But the second time, like, if you think of the guy that kind of like moseyed on up half asleep, and then seeing you on the dance floor, right? And how are you going to say like that guy's, not interesting? You've always kind of been interesting. You have a great personality. You have a warm personality, right? You've always been like hard on the sleeves, type of guy. I think from a personality side, like, yeah, like on screen and stuff like that. That's also a no-brainer, And then now as we kind of talk, seeing you is probably more of like, hey, all of this is set up because you want to be the artist, right? Not necessarily the guy behind. Like, it's not that you want to be the artist, but that like you are an artist, right? In this, and that it just like I get it now. Now that we've talked through in my head, I'm like, oh, that makes more sense.
Well, like, I'd probably be like a pretty shitty lead singer in a band. Like, I would be a good lead singer. Mm-hmm. But I'd be probably a pretty shitty band because I wouldn't like be able to play any instruments. I would just be singing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I always have respect for those like lead. They at least have some sort of musical stuff. They just don't just sing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I would be that kind of like guy. Like it would be like David Lee Roth probably plays instruments, but like somebody that's just like a big personality.
Your front man.
The front man.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
But like that's like when me and Joe would go do like stuff like somewhere else. And you go, well, how do you want to do this? I'm like, bro, that's not what I do. Like this is what I do. Like me. Yeah. You decide the shots and what it's supposed to look like. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so like everything you see on the podcast is just from me, like the osmosis of watching and seeing other things that I thought were cool artistically. It's wild to think that when I originally, like as an example, when I originally started making my podcast art, like for the art for the podcast, I was like, okay, well, what do you kind of want to emulate, or what do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
I was like, well, Joe Rogan's podcast is pretty big. So if you go look at my original artwork on some of the stuff, you look at Joe Rogan's podcast, it's the same layout. It looks like I've shaped it the same way, right? And then at some point, I saw some other person that did something that I was like, oh, I love that look. How can I take that look and make it my own look? And then I'm just always doing that. So, I feel like, we're always like, there's not a lot of new ideas. We're always kind of copying, regurgitating and stuff like that. And I think what's so interesting about, like, for me, like in the conversation of like AI, is that like I use it to do all my editing, my English verbal pronunciation and editing, because I'm horrible at that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll write a monologue, put it into the ChatGPT, and I'll go, hey, correct all the errors in grammar, and then phrase it like me. Because it knows me already. It already knows how I talk.
Yeah.
And so then it does it. And then so I don't know, like there should always be a little bit of you and what you're doing, right?
100%.
I mean, there should be a lot of you in what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Should there be all of you? It should be all of you in what you're doing.
Yeah.
In some way.
For sure. It's interesting because that means, everything you said, that means like you've done a lot of work. Yeah, it's cool.
Like a lot of work for this?
Well, like a lot of work to set it up so that it looks a certain way, so you can show yourself in a manner that you like, and then also to like accentuate you being the personality, which it's cool. Like in my head, I see it set up. I'm like, man, he's really good at setting all the tech up, the camera, the lighting, like the art, like, because I think some people might have a great idea, but they don't have taste. Like they don't know what you just said, they don't, it's not their own. I told this story before, but I'll tell it really quick. There's this, what YouTube channel, I think it's called, I'm going to butcher it. I think it's called the Bourbon Brothers or something like that. Somehow I stumbled across their YouTube page because they have a real cool background that they do their podcast or their show, whatever you call it, in front of it. And for some reason, I was like, I'm just going to go look at their first video. So I scrolled all the way down. They had hundreds of videos, and these are thousands of views. Blah, blah. You get down to the very first one, and it's like them in the garage with like a table and just like a bottle of bourbon just on the middle of the table. No microphones and no nothing. And then you go to that one I was on, and it's like this beautiful backdrop. They got bourbon all over the back of it. They got a sign and stuff like that. And in that moment, I realized that I have to get to here, you just have to you have to keep doing it, and you have to be willing to keep wanting to get better and tweak it and be better with it. You can't be just happy with the way it is all the time. You have to always be kind of going like open to the ideas of like, how could I make this better? Always open to the idea of how could this be better. Okay, that's good. Now my next question is,
okay,
from taking that, and I know you personally take that same approach with you, just kind of like your inner state, like you as a human being. We just talked about it on the podcast of where you started to where you are now, right? What's one thing you're working on right now? Like that's like you're obsessed over, or is there something that you're like, oh, I need to, look into this to help me do X or.
Oh, well, it's easy. It's like, so my therapist challenged me to read a book, and I started reading it. And by reading, I mean listen to it. But I started listening to it, and the guy studied under this other guy named Marshall Rosenberg, and Marshall Rosenberg wrote this book called Nonviolent Communication. And the book had been recommended to me before, but like a lot of stuff, I don't know. I guess shit just had to hit you at the right time. Because obviously it wasn't the right time because I didn't read it then. I'm reading it now, right? Well, I started this other guy's book, and I really couldn't get into the book, like whatever. And I was like, well, this guy studied under this guy, so I'm just going to go straight to the source. And when I started reading the book, I started realizing that not only could I change probably the relationships with my most personal circle, I could change relationships. I could change how I interact with strangers and how I impact my clients. And then ultimately, that's about all I can do to impact the world in that sense, right? Like that, like as far as I can reach is as much as I can impact. And I can only hope the reverberation carries far, right? And so I started reading the book, and there are points where it's made me cry because it makes me so happy to think that it could be possible, that we could relearn the way we talk to each other and talk in a way that doesn't have to be from a place of shame and judgment and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That we do almost like unconsciously we kind of talk like this because it's just the way we talk, you know, and we could learn another way to communicate that could have a greater impact. And so that's what I'm just obsessed with.
Are you frustrated that others, like the communication thing's always a two to tango?
Right.
Does it frustrate you, the fact that there is this way that other people might not want to put much time into figuring it out?
So he goes into that.
Okay.
Right. And that's like, I don't want to butcher it because I only read the book like once.
It's okay.
But I get on some level, like, that's not really your responsibility. Your responsibility is to try to communicate to that person always in that way, because, you know, you are the sum of the people you hang out with. You are the sum of the conversations you kind of have. And the way I show up and approach and the things I say could influence how you come back to me with things that you didn't even know you were going to tell me or say, you know? Like if you, like as an example, if you say like, my day was crap because of X, Y, and Z, you know, I might say like, man, I feel like you're really frustrated. You're like, I am really frustrated. And like, you know, like just letting that be and letting it sit in that. It doesn't have to be more than that. Just acknowledging and noticing somebody so they can have relief on that could change how they approach the rest of the conversation with you or the next person they have. No? Yeah?
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement. I like it. I
think it's really hard. I think it could be really frustrating, but I also really think about like my daughter and how I really feel like the greatest gift I could give her is our communication, the example of good communication, so that she can hopefully have it in her relationships and in our relationship. And so then that way she doesn't get caught up in baloney relationships that I don't want her to be in.
For sure.
Because she doesn't want to be in them, you know, because she won't accept poor communication.
Yeah.
You know, and that's important. And it's also important that, you know, like no matter that, now that I have a human being with another person, and I'm attached to another person for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Then no matter our relationship, that we have good communication. And so, excuse me. So like, I think maybe that's why it's gotten so hot on my mind. And just the things that my daughter has been noticing about me that I don't like.
Like
my tone. Like she'll go like, I won't say something. She'll just go, I'll say something that doesn't indicate that I'm mad, but she'll go, Daddy, are you mad at me? And like, that sucks. Because that means like, you know, whatever words I was saying didn't matter. She didn't hear the words I said. All she felt or interpreted was my anger. Because maybe I was, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if I'm honest with myself, I probably, like in those moments, I was maybe being passive aggressive or whatever else.
Yeah.
And I think like, oh man, a deadly sin is just to like not acknowledge, to not be aware and acknowledge your own emotions in front of your kids and make them feel crazy, like they don't know what the fuck they're seeing.
Yeah.
Like they can see you're mad and you go, I'm not mad. And then they don't even know. They're like, I don't even know what to do. Like, what do I do with my hands? You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like what a shitty tool you could give your kid.
Yeah.
And so, but it requires you being vulnerable and honest about who you are. If you're a person that eats junk food all the time and you tell your kids you don't, but you do, well, I mean, the truth's there, you know? And I don't know. I just don't want to be like that.
Yeah. And I think also with the kids, like they feel things more, like they feel the truth a lot more, especially with the like the emotions, the tone, stuff like that. And so it's like it probably does them a pretty disservice on the calibration process if all of a sudden, like you said, you know, you say, "Oh no, I'm fine," and then they're like, "What?"
Because
they don't feel fine.
That's all they have to go on at this point, right? Because like my daughter's all the time, she's like, "What does this word mean?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know what that word means." You know what I mean? Like because she doesn't know any other way to process other than what she's sensing, and I don't want her because okay, those are going to be the senses that's going to tell her danger. This guy's creepy. This person's creepy. This person is dangerous. If I don't make her aware of that, she learns to trust her. She doesn't trust him like she should. Right?
Yeah, I hear you. How much do you worry about this more because you have a daughter than a boy?
I don't know because I don't think I'll ever have a boy.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that they're like all. I feel like all the emotional, like all this stuff, I would do exactly the same. Like I want us to have a solid relationship, no matter who she is or what she wants to do. You know what I mean? I just want us to have I want us to have a good relationship.
Yeah, of course.
That's all I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
And so whether she was a boy or girl or whatever, whatever else. Like, you know what I mean? But I also think that like it's just really important to have communication with your like true communication, like where they have an opinion and they have thoughts. And like she told me the other day, she said she goes, "Daddy, I don't like it when you tell me what to do." And I said what? I go, what makes you feel like I'm telling you what to do? And she goes, because you don't say please. And I said, would you please pick up your... Right?
Yeah.
But later on, I went to her and I go, look, I'm really going to work on what you asked me to work on, like say, making sure I say please, stuff like that. I go, but understand, like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking you to do things in the ecosystem of our home to make this whole thing work. We all have roles and things, and this is your role picking up this stuff. I'm just asking you to do your role, please. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be this. But if I never would have explored that with her, I never would have asked her, I'll just make assumptions.
Yeah.
Instead of asking her, what makes you think, like, what would make you think I'm telling you what to do? What would make you think that? Because that's not how I operate. That's not what I'm thinking. And it was as simple as, just could you say please? I'm like, pretty sure I did, but whatever.
No, that's awesome. That's good. It's funny because, yeah, I operate probably a little different. I'm probably like, no, I'm telling you what to do. Like on some stuff, right?
Okay, well, you have to read this book then.
Yeah, I probably will. And that's what's funny. So that you say that, I'm like, oh, okay. I think, in some regard, and I think every kid's a little bit different. My girls would take them, give them an inch, take a mile type of thing. And I think it's also because we have multi-generational home, right? My mom and dad are in the home too. And like, can you imagine like if your grandparents who dote on you, like, for Christmas or whatever else, now take that times 360 some days in a year, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, and my wife's very good at like listening and talking through the emotions, and like they get all in the details. I'm the fun one. I'm the one that they want to play with all the time. But then I'm also the one that's like, hey, like kind of where you said, hey, like this house has to operate in a certain way or whatever else. Like I'm the one that kind of like, hey, you're gonna have to.
I feel like those are boundaries though. That's just boundaries.
For sure. And
like I'm not fun.
Yeah.
Right. But also, like, I mean, there's just things that need to get done. Like, there are things you're responsible for.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm not your person. Like, you are 5. I know you can pick up your own clothes because you can put them on. Okay?
Yeah.
When you want to do something, you can put them on and take them off. You have no problem. You know where they go? Go do it.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Who do you think's putting away my clothes? You know what I mean? Like, I want her to understand what she's responsible for and what she's not responsible for. Because people are really good at trying to make you feel responsible for the stuff that they don't want to be responsible for. And that's hard when it comes to like friends and family and close people or boyfriends or whatever else it is. So Like I want her to be solid around those setting boundaries around those ideas of what, and maybe sometimes we make mistakes. We make mistakes where we trust somebody we shouldn't, or we, make mistakes where we're too closed off or whatever. But like, I want her to be able to navigate that herself.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine she's going to be bad at that with you as a father.
But the guy that you met on the Omega Wave would have jacked this up, I think.
No, that's the same.
Well, I would have figured
same dude without a little bit of growth.
Well, I would have figured it out. Like, I think I'm like
100%.
Look, there are people on the planet that are in dire straits that are figuring it out way more than me, right? So like I would figure it out, but I'm so grateful that I didn't have to. I'm so grateful that I get to do it under this umbrella, this spot, this era, this time of my life, not that time of my life.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I never thought of you as, like you always loved hard. Like that was always apparent.
That's a problem though, too.
I mean, I don't know about that. Like in my head, it's like, if you love something, that's like step one. And then outside of that, it's like, if you love something enough, you're going to figure it out. Right.
Okay. But let me ask you, in loving something, would you say there's like a balance that, because there's a level of smothering.
Well, no, there's a level of somebody can take advantage of me.
Or that too. But I'm saying without the balance of love, of equal love, like respect and love, and like it doesn't work. And so I think a lot of what you felt was true, right? Like, oh, love's hard. I don't want to say you could love too hard, but you could love too hard with the wrong intentions or the wrong ideas.
Yeah.
About like loving hard is how I love my daughter now. The loving hard you're describing was an out of control, smothering loving hard that I don't think was good for anyone,
Yeah, maybe. I think, and like I'm saying, it takes different tones and colors depending on the other side, right? The other side also has a lot to play there. Some people, if they feel, just for an example, if somebody feels distance, well, then the other person's going to try to close the gap. And if you're always the one trying to close the gap all the time, then it's going to come off as feeling kind of smothering to somebody. But to the right other person that isn't creating distance, they might be like, man, I have the most loving person ever, So like, it's tough on that side. Now, I would say I would probably err more on that. The people that love hard can probably be taken advantage of. That would probably, like in my head, like you have to have boundaries around that, because you can give and give and give and give. And then, it can kind of, not that you probably ever feel without, but you might not know you're there.
I had to make peace with the fact that like, if you give something to someone, you are giving that away.
Yeah.
There is no return on that. They don't have to give you shit. They don't owe you shit. Nobody. So make sure before you give that away, whatever that is, time, whatever, make sure you're cool with just being what it is.
100%.
Right. And so, now I don't give all the time, but it feels much better because I give when I really want to, which is also like,
it's good.
It's part of that book, right? Like he was talking about, like, you can't make anybody do nothing. And he goes, and why would you want to get what you want under that circumstance?
No.
Right? You want to get stuff under a circumstance that people want to give it to you. The energy off of it is horrible if you're forcing someone to give you what you want.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And so that kind of changed my idea about like my client. Like, like we're kind of talking on the podcast about like people you had to fire, right? I wonder if you could hear them and they could hear your words differently, could you get to the real root of the problem of why they're not, the internal problem of why they're not succeeding, and then maybe they could actually have success?
Possibly, for sure.
But does someone want to do that, or do they just want to like crush numbers and or what reasons are they there for?
Yeah.
Do they think that someone is there to turn their life around? That's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Right? Is that people come to me for me to turn their life around. That's not what I don't do that. That's not what I do. You turn your life around with my guidance.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's so funny is when people, they'll be like, oh, I'm just so amazed at like the you know, the progress I'm making, whatever else, you know, I sit back and a lot of times I'm like, you know how many people didn't listen to the same advice and they didn't see progress, you know, and the common denominator is just the other person just doing the work. That's it. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like I've said the same thing. I've done the same techniques or same whatever, right? And it's really the other person on the other side that's like taking it. It's like, okay, cool. I'm just going to do this every day. Just chip away. And then all of a sudden, you know, from like their friend's point of view, they're like, oh my gosh, I saw you. You look completely different. Like, what the hell's going on? But to our relationship, it's just like, hey, every day they just chipped away. And they're the ones who did it. But I can go back and see a bunch of times where I failed because either whatever I said wasn't taken in the right, you know, direction, or they just didn't put enough work into it.
But they have to be also in a place to receive it.
Yeah.
And you also have to be in a place to sit in the uncomfortableness of them not receiving it yet. And that's not the right time. Whatever it wasn't the right time, and letting it go into maybe another time where they're open to hearing that. Like,
100%.
I mean, like, you know, we were kind of talking about like, okay, like this sounds jerky, but you said it. So like we're even, that you kind of get bored in small talk conversations.
Yeah.
And I do too. So that's when I started to really get interested in like, okay, everything else that's going on while the conversation's happening, right? Hands, eyes, movements, and stuff like that. And then I started thinking about, well, when this person's telling me the story that feels like it's going on forever, what are they really trying to tell me? Are they trying to tell me that like they were hurt in that situation, or what they, you know, how they, why are they telling me this long ass story? There must be something they're trying to relay. And maybe I can try to figure it out in this short period of time, but I have to wait for the details of it. It's like kind of watching a movie in the sense, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, when are they going to give me a hint about what the fuck's going on? Right? But you have to be present and aware and taking it all in at all times to find them, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I make it interesting now. That sounds so shitty that I say that. But like, look, I'm sure I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty of telling a long story and somebody's probably like, man, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? This probably happened today.
No. Like it's like I think when we have our lunch talks, it's funny because like we'll and it's probably actually apparent on the podcast too. We'll go on something and somewhere in the first part of the story, the answer to the question would have been told, but then we take it on another tangent.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have to backtrack. We do this at lunch a lot too.
Well, you think that's me or you think that's us?
Probably just us. And I think a lot of it is just the fact that like once we start talking about it, it like unravels in our mind, and then it leads us there, and they're all connected, right? And there's truth there, but it probably leads us on to the next thing that we'll talk about, right? That's why I say a lot of times when we kind of go deep down the rabbit hole, it probably starts at a surface level, and then it goes down to like, you know, a foot, and then it's 10 feet, and then it, you know, then it kind of crawls down there because we just end up going that far.
I think this is true. Like back in the day, Greek philosophers would all like just sit around and talk, and like that's how they learned. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's how they would like share information and think about thoughts and expand their minds and shit like that, just sitting around like talking, you know? And I think that like one, I bet their conversations were a lot like the conversations we have, where they're talking about something and something takes their, because they're trying to be there to, I mean, that's why I show up for lunch, is because I you know, I want to be better. Like I show up for lunch because I want to be better, because you make me better, I think. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like our conversations make me more enlightened, make me think about myself more, in the sense of like I grow in our conversations. And I think that's where I find a lot of the value in it. But I think that happens in the way you're saying it, like this branches almost, right? And some branches just stop. There's nothing there. But maybe this one like keeps going like long or something, you know?
For sure. Well, even now I'm about to ask you a question because I'm very curious now that we've done this. I'm going to branch off in a different direction.
Yeah, go.
What number of episode is this?
Oh, man. Somebody just asked me on one of the last episodes. I didn't know. I'm going to say it's like 130-ish.
Okay.
128, 129, somewhere around in there.
Okay. And my question then is in 260, episode 260. What do you want this to be?
I only aimed for 100. I was coming up on 100, and I was like, well, one, I'd already pre-recorded past 100. At the point where episode 100 came out, I was already recorded to like, we'll say episode 115 or something like that, right? So when I was coming up on 100, I was like, well, like, you're gonna stop doing it, and you already recorded all this shit. Like the gathering the content is a big part of this. You know, and the processing stuff is boring, but you gotta get the content, right? I was like, you already have the content. So I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna keep doing it. And then somewhere in the last like handful of episodes, the guy that was doing my audio had to stop. He couldn't do it anymore. So I either had to find another audio guy or I had to figure out how to do it myself. And I said, well, if I figure out how to do it myself, then I can just produce the podcast as fast as I want to produce them. Because ultimately I was waiting on him to do like the audio for a lot of stuff. That's why I was recorded out and for my time, right? And so it changed it a little bit in the sense of like, oh, like this could be really streamlined now because I do everything. You know? Now, ultimately, hopefully that doesn't mean like, hey, I always want to do everything because it has to be my way kind of shit. Like I'm doing out of necessity now, and I'd have openness to if something became bigger than this, that someone else would do it. But ultimately, I'm learning how to do all this stuff. And now I'm doing every single thing, so it can just go as fast as I want. And so I don't know what that means. I think I'll hit 260. I mean, if it's like this.
Yeah.
If it doesn't cost me a lot of money, doesn't take a lot of time away from my family, I can still do my job. People still want to come do it.
Yeah.
Right? Then, like, why not? I always thought to be a stand-up comedian, like, you had to have like your own comedy special. You know, that's not true. There's plenty of stand-up comedians that'll never have their own comedy special.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just think of it as like there's a lot of podcasters. A lot of podcasters will obviously always do it bigger than me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a podcaster. It doesn't mean I can't do podcasting, and it doesn't mean what I do doesn't have value. If it is only to me, the value is only to me, an expression of creativity or whatever.
Favorite guest?
You.
Yeah, right.
Second favorite guest? It'd be a cop-out to say, like, I mean, it is true. Like, because I don't write any questions down and it's not scripted, I never know what's going to happen. But I'm always pleasantly surprised how awesome it seems to always turn out. You know, imagine that, like being a good listener and just asking, you know, good, intelligent questions gets people to talk, and it's interesting, right? But if I had to say someone that like, so you see that cowboy up there in the corner?
Yeah.
No shirt on? That's my friend Chase, and he does a show in Vegas, and he rides that ladder and sings and stuff like that. And he came on the podcast and did this thing. I was calling it like some sort of jukebox thing, and he would just give me a playlist and he would just sing songs just like on cue or whatever. And it was a bunch of old country that I listened to when I was a kid. And that episode was just so much fun because we just laughed and we talked about country music and growing up, where we grew up, and like all that kind of stuff. And I think that it's different. Okay, when I have someone that I know, it's different when I have someone I don't know. And it's different when I have someone that I've known for 20 plus years. Yeah. And they're all different and they're all unique in their own way. You know what I mean? But, you know, every guest was good. Every guest has been fun. There hasn't been, I haven't had what I would call a bad experience. But I also think, just not humble brag, but to your original point, I try to make it that way. Like, I want you to come in, we're going to eat. Some people have alcohol, right? They sit and drink for a while. We talk, right? Get you real comfortable. Like, you know, close the door, forget whether there was even a door there, turn on the lights, the camera kind of comes on. You know what I mean? A lot of people that I don't know them, I'll do like, hey, like, you know you're being recorded, and I'll casually, and I'll sit down and do my Mr. Rogers move and just start talking. And then before you know it, we're recording a podcast. And before you know it, they're like, hey, like, are we recording? I'm like, oh, yeah. And I feel like that if that happens, the chance of me making magic for what I do is already started.
Yeah.
If I can sneak up on that well where they didn't know, because, crazy that people come and they'll sit in this chair and it happens all the time. They'll go, man, I'm starting to feel a little nervous right now. And I'm like, buddy, there's 20 people going to watch this. Like, so, unless you have friends I don't know about, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't some huge podcast, but that means that when I showed up serious about what I'm doing and believing what I'm doing and going, this is what you're doing today, they believed it. Now they want to be on. They want to be good. That I don't look at that nervousness as it's like, to me, it's always a good sign in the sense of like, they want to be good. They want to represent themselves good. Right?
Yeah.
So we just calm the situation down a little bit, let it pass, sneak up on them. And then before they know it, they're talking. And then, usually I get a good, hour of people just kind of talking about stuff.
That's awesome. Okay. Last question I have for you.
Okay.
Do you think about when you're recording these, your daughter rewatching them in like 20, 30 years?
100%.
Okay.
But I take it, it's fucked up, but I take it a step further. Before my daughter, as selfish as this is, my life only had value to me.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have a person that depends on me right now. Like I'm permanently chained, attached to, that depends on me,
Mm-hmm.
And, people lose their parents all the time. Like my friends have lost their parents at very young ages. Like my financial advisor lost his mom at 26.
Mm.
He's like in his 40s now. You know what I mean? And you think about how that shaped his life. My parents are still alive. I knew my grandparents. I knew my great-grandparents, right? And so I think about that maybe at a minimum, if something were to happen to me, she'll know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope. I hope that these podcasts are, there might be a little bit of shine on this turd, but like this is 98% of this is me, as who I am as a person, and she'll see that. And she'll see that, like right now, she's like, Daddy, you're on TV. I'm like, no, I'm not really. You know what I mean? Because she sees YouTube on TV, so she thinks I'm on TV. So like, that's wild.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Like it's real, but not real. But it's also showing her, like, like you always, these people that turn out, like maybe this is me being a little bit of the, like what we're talking about, being overbearing parent kind of thing. But I think about that every time you see like an artist or musician, because she's so into music right now, they talk about their parents. They'll go, my mom was an amazing piano teacher and my dad did this wild podcast. But that showed me that I could do anything, and that's why I wanted to be a singer. It'd be cool if that's the story she tells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that means that I did a good job of like hopefully being my most authentic self. She picked up on that and saw that things are possible if you're willing to put in the work. All the time, of all the things I've done in here, how this has evolved over time, I was setting this all up today because all this stuff is usually on the other side. And this little stand back here used to be the in between us. Like it used to be, the mic stands used to be attached to that and had like a little thing over it or whatever. And I was thinking, like, dang, this thing, it's evolved like the Bourbon Brothers. Like it's had the Bourbon Brothers evolution.
Yeah.
But that you have to do it. Like that's the only way you get here is doing it. Like there's no shortcutting it. You could record 100 episodes in 100 days, but you won't get the same thing if you're like kind of setting yourself to this, like I release on this day and I do this thing and this is what it is, kind of like embodying itself and taking the time to slug through. It took me 5 years to get to 100 episodes.
Mm.
I could have done it faster. Well, what would it have done? It would have done nothing. It would have changed nothing. I would have probably learned less because I would have not gone through. I would have gone through what I went through at episode 40 something at like an episode 100 and something.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the evolution of the experience I was happening. It's just going to make it seem like it was happening faster than it really was or needed to.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. And the growth in you over the years as well. It's going to add a little bit more into the podcast because you've grown so much, just personally over the
I
the
think
years.
I think that the podcast is part of why I'm a better person. I think I have more empathy. I 1000% have more empathy for artists. And I'm an artist at heart. Like I've done art my whole life. But like I have more empathy around people just trying to make it. You know, like a lot of the music artists that come on my podcast aren't huge music artists, right? But they're on Spotify, they have songs, they do concerts, and they're doing what I'm doing. They're just trying to like make art and do stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like I wish I would have supported that harder. The guy Chase, he used to do like shows in the backyard of houses. And I told him to his face, I was like, I used to look at you like you were a loser. You know what I mean? But I was the loser. I was the dude being the loser because that guy was getting the reps in.
Yeah.
And now he performs in Vegas because he put the reps in. And I didn't have appreciation and empathy for that before I started doing this. It's kind of like doing a tattoo. That's like becoming a tattoo artist without doing an apprenticeship first. You just don't understand. It's like it's something I guess you have to do. Like it's something you have to go through, you know?
Yeah.
My man. Thank you.
That's good, of course.